Hi, my name is Spencer Janning, and today I'm presenting the Freedom Race. So, I'm a mechanical aerospace engineering student at the University of Dayton, and in my first year, I was actually assigned in one of my engineering classes to create a new hip and knee abductor for a child who had cerebral palsy. Now, the problem a lot of people who have cerebral palsy and conditions face is they'll actually take one leg while they're sleeping and wrap it around the other leg and continue to wrap their legs around each other. And this is very painful for them because it can, very painful for them, and it can cause long-term damage to their lower extremities. So they can tear a muscle, they can pop a hip eye socket, they can get really bad bruising on their lower extremities. And a lot of times these people are able to walk on their own, but if they continue to do this motion, their condition will deteriorate to the point where they can no longer walk on their own. So this current solution to this problem is actually kind of a problem itself. So up here are actually 3 braces that you can go online today and purchase out of pocket. So the first one, these devices range anywhere from about $130 up to $300. And the big problem with these devices is that they fix the user's legs into a certain position while they're trying to fall asleep. So basically they can't reposition and readjust to get comfortable to fall asleep. Because if you think about it, when you're trying to fall asleep, you reposition and readjust all the time in order to find a comfortable position. Well, since these people can't do this at all, they usually can't sleep, and because they can't sleep, they actually don't wear their devices regularly as they're supposed to. So this opens them up to both the children and the parents. They have to make a difficult decision of whether they wear a really uncomfortable brace that prevents them from doing that motion, or they use no brace and potentially open themselves up to a lot of damage to their lower extremities. So that's why I created the Freedom Brace. So the Freedom Brace allows the user to fully move their legs up to certain preset conditions, while at the same time preventing them from actually crossing their legs over each other and injuring themselves. So on the right up here is actually a picture of a child who's been testing our device for the last 2.5 years, or 3 years now, and she actually wears her device every night. And ever since using our device, she's not once gone back to actually using her previous device. So here is actually a video of the child using the device. So as you can see, they can move around and squirm a whole bunch. And a lot of times these people also have spastic movements, so they'll jerk around a lot. And these braces that fix them into a certain location are really uncomfortable also, because it doesn't accommodate those movements. And so when they try to make those movements, it doesn't let them do that, and it's really uncomfortable because they're fighting it the whole time. And the parent of the child who's been using this device has expressed to us how much of a quality of life improvement this device has had for their child. So as far as our business model, we start with dissatisfied users who are using other devices that they don't like or not using a device at all. And there's typically 2 ways that someone actually gets one of these devices, or a hip and knee abductor. So the first way is they go through the insurance route, which is basically they have to go to a doctor to get a prescription. They then have to deal with CMS red tape. They have to go to a brace shop, and then they have to go back to that brace shop to actually pick up the brace once it's ordered after it's fit. So this whole process through insurance can take about 6 weeks, and a lot of parents have actually discussed how uncomfortable it is for them to do this, and how a lot of times they actually just skip this process through insurance, go online and buy braces out of pocket. And I plan on shipping our device within 1 week from when it's ordered to when it's delivered. So once users have our device, this will lead to positive outcomes so they can actually sleep with our device on, which will lead to satisfied customers telling more dissatisfied users about our brace, which leads to more sales. So I currently own the domain name freedombrace.com. On this website, users can go and actually customize a brace. So they can input the diameter of their leg, and they can input the color of the brace they want, and we can fully print that for them. So, and being able to customize the colors is huge for children who are usually wearing this device. Because if you think about it, when you break your arm or something, you get to choose what color your cast is, right? So when these people have to wear these devices every night, for children it is extremely beneficial for them, because they can say, I made this device, this is mine, I chose blue or I chose green. And that also encourages them to wear their device because it's their device that they chose to own. So as far as the competition on the right, some people actually make home solutions. Now these are kind of comfortable, but they're extremely ineffective. It's usually just taking a pillow and putting it between the legs to prevent them from crossing over, but almost every time they can still cross their legs. Also, there's the typical like cuff, sort of like this, but it allows for no movement. This one's certainly more effective, but it's less comfortable. Now, this I think is actually the worst. It's basically a V-shaped foam pillow that goes between the legs to prevent them from actually crossing their legs. Now, this is more effective typically than the cuff version, but it's extremely uncomfortable. So the Freedom Brace is both comfortable and it's very safe. So our main competitive advantages are that we are comfortable, so the user is more likely to wear their device. It's also safe. Of the 3 people that are currently testing our device, none of them have actually had any issues as far as safety is concerned. And the third thing is they can actually customize the color. So as far as manufacturing, I'm going to start using 3D printing because this is the most cost-effective method to start manufacturing devices and getting them out to people who need them. So some example of other people who are actually using 3D printing for more commercial purposes right now. First is actually Prusa printers. So they actually manufacture their own 3D printers that they sell. Now, in order to make all the parts to manufacture these printers, they actually use other 3D printers to print the parts. Right, the 3D printers they sell. Right, yeah. So they actually have 300 running 24/7 in order to produce these parts. Another one is actually Dayton Artificial Limb locally. They're using additive manufacturing technologies to manufacture parts for artificial limbs. And if it's going in the artificial limb, it has to be fairly strong because people are going to be lifting things, they're going to be walking on it. So it's got to be fairly strong. Now, 3D printing is really cool because of the customization it provides, because it's really easy to fit it to the person. You just input their diameter of leg, hit enter, and it automatically generates the files. But 3D printing is not necessarily the best method for larger scale production. So at some point, I do want to switch over to injection molding. Now, you might say, why not start with injection molding, right? Well, the big roadblock there is actually it's going to cost about $98,000 for all the tooling necessary to get the molds made for this device in like a small, medium, and large size. Now, we can do sort of a hybrid model where we get, so if you look at the device, the biggest part is the cuff. So there's 2 of them, and it takes about 18 hours to print all those cuff parts, 24 hours to print a full device. And if we can get that injection mold for just the cuffs, that's about $43,000. And that will reduce print time by 18 hours per device. So instead of spending 24 hours printing a device, you only spend 6 hours printing a device. So this is a quick comparison for manufacturing costs between additive manufacturing and injection molding. So for additive manufacturing, when you include materials, labor, and shipping, the total cost is $42.75 per unit. And injection molding in a 1,000 quantity order, that cost is actually $55.15. Now, when you get up to about a 3,000 quantity order, the price for injection molding and 3D printing actually levels out. So a quick price comparison. So $98,000 for these injection molds, but I can buy a 3D printer that can produce 1 device per day for about $380. So if I invest $7,600, I can buy 20 printers, which can produce 20 devices per day or 100 devices per week in a 5-day work week. Now, if we sell these devices at $200, which I intend on doing to stay competitive in the market, that would be $200 times 100 devices per week, or $20,000 in weekly sales. So, as far as the market, the worldwide market for this device, I believe, is 19.2 million users, or $960 million per year. In the United States, there's about 1 million users, for a total market size of $200 million right now. But these 1 million users typically buy a device every 5 years. So that means that every year there's about $40 million being spent on these devices. So this is my 5-year projection based on 1% US annual market growth per year. So in the first year, if we're able to capture 1% of that market, or 2,000 users, at $200 per device, that means we'll do $400,000 in sales. Now I extrapolate that out to the 5th year, where we have 5% of the total US market, 10,000 annual device sales, $2 million in annual sales, and $6 million in total sales. So in order to market this device, I really plan on using social media. So there's a lot of groups on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that, where parents actually go for, there's support groups, so parents of children who have these conditions can actually talk with each other and get advice on things. And actually recently, within the last 48 hours, we posted our device in this group to ask them just what they thought of it, not saying it's for sale or anything. And there are actually about like 120 likes and 54 comments, with about the majority of those comments asking where they can actually buy our device. And we never actually said it's for sale yet. So that's very promising. And this is just one of the many CP groups that are currently on these different social media websites. So I also plan on getting into these online medical stores such as rehabmart.com and Allegra Medical, where these other braces are already being sold out of pocket. And also to medical professionals, so they recommend our device to their patients. So currently I do have a patent on this device, USPTO number 9872793. It is a fully non-provisional utility patent. Right now I'm seeking federal compliance with the FDA, which is a 3-step process where I have to pay an annual fee of $4,884. I have to register my company, and I also have to register my device. Now this is a class 1 medical device, which means it's the least restrictive as far as guidelines and everything go. So we're completely 510K exempt, which means we do not need any testing to get approval. Essentially all I have to do is pay that fee and we're registered with the FDA. We're also exempt from GMP, good manufacturing practices, which means we don't have to follow guidelines as far as what materials we make it out of, where we make it, it's a sanitary, all those restrictive guidelines. We do, however, have to keep track of the contact information of people who we sell our devices to. And also, I partnered with Leonardo Enterprises at the University of Dayton. They're providing me with a lot of support as far as manufacturing space. So I have a lab in Kettering Labs where I'm actually manufacturing these devices currently. I also have funding support and mentoring support, and it's really helped me out a lot. And actually yesterday I was accepted into the ESP program here. So that's definitely going to help a lot as far as funding and mentorship and other various resources. So the ask is $4,884 for FDA compliance, $9,000 for manufacturing and logistics, so $7,600 of that will go to 20 printers to produce 100 devices per week. And as far as liability insurance, we do need it since we're selling a medical device, and I estimate that the premium is about $2,000 for a total ask of $15,884. Thank you.